Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page where I do pretty much a daily live stream. I say pretty much because I have missed a day here or there. And so I just wanted to welcome you to the live stream. And that's George. You know, my puppy George. George and I are up here at Star Nations Academy doing this, and he misses Paul. He does, because he and Paul have been together a lot. So hopefully he will go to sleep. Hopefully, cross the fingers. All right. And thank you, everybody, for those people who were saying prayers for George on Tuesday, because, he was getting neutered on Tuesday. And so holding space for him. Thank you so much. And asking about him. He is doing actually really well. The hard part is keeping him a little bit less active, a little bit quiet, 4-month-old puppy. And so we've been busy trying to do that so that he can heal completely, right? That's what we want. And so thank you, everybody, for all your well wishes and all your prayers for him. Really do appreciate it. And hey, Roberta, Bobby's in the house. Good to see you. Good afternoon. And so today is Thursday, November 29th. And it's 2 p.m. in the afternoon here in the Central Time Zone, 3 p.m. in the Eastern. And one of the things that we'd like to do before we actually get started is I wanted to explain about what's going to happen on this live stream today. Normally, I am bringing you information about the card draw that I did this morning, and we are going to try to fit that in. But some of you guys were here this morning for Spiritual Mysteries of Life with show host Constant Shearwater, Connie. And we were having some technical difficulties. Well, we got it figured out, and she's actually here with me this afternoon. So, because I really, really wanted you guys to experience Connie and the messages that she brings forward, and just the stuff she talks about, right? And so she was available this afternoon. So I said, why don't we do this together? And we'll see what Spirit has to offer, because we're just going to be in the flow. We're going to be in the flow. So if you guys wouldn't mind helping me to do something. Hey, Julie Shumway Hill, thanks for being here. And Stephanie's here, yay. And she shared it already. I was just going to ask you guys if you wouldn't mind helping me by sharing the broadcast and also liking it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to share it to my news feed. And it just takes a moment. It takes me longer to find the live stream. Here we are. And I'm going to share it out. I'm going to share it to my news feed. And let all my friends know, right, that we're live streaming. And I'm live streaming with, got to spell right, Constant Shearwater. There we go. And then please join us. There. All right, that's to my timeline. And now I'm going to share it out to the 2 closed groups that we have for Star Nations. And I'm just going to let our peoples know that I am live streaming. And I'm going to tell everybody that Connie's with me. If I can spell. Oh. Okay, here we go. There. And the please join. There we go. And I'm going to make sure that I hit the right groups here. There. Done. Done and done, as they say. Good. Thank you guys for sharing it out. I appreciate it. Yeah. And here's Roberta. Roberta is saying, oh, so glad Connie is there, as I couldn't find you this morning. Oh, yeah. There's a reason for all of that. We're going to bring Connie on, okay? And we'll tell you guys all about that. Now, George is in the background. Hi, Connie.
Hi.
Listen to Connie's
Okay.
voice. You can hear her.
Yes, I'm telling you. Quite a challenge.
Oh, but we figured it out, right? We figured it
We
out.
did. We did. We did.
That's one of the things about working together. And actually, it was almost we almost miming it, or it felt like charades there for a moment. But we did figure it out. Connie, thank you so much for hanging in there and being really patient with it.
Oh, that's all
Really,
right.
really do. So, audience, what happened is that Connie, I had finally asked Connie if, because I had gone through everything I know on how to get audio back, and I had run out of options. And so I finally just asked Connie, I said, did you update your computer in the last month? And you had said, yeah, I did, and it's like, oh, okay. So there's something that got turned off that doesn't recognize the microphone. Well, Connie, it turns out, right, that there is something wrong with your internal microphone on your laptop.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, a brand new computer too. But and we had to get my computer man online, get him in, and so he was in there searching around, and he said to me, he said, "I'm sorry, Connie." He said, I can't find it." So I said, "I think it's just gone." And so he said, "Whatever, you're gonna have to go out and get a mic." So
Yeah.
I thought, okay, that's fixable. So, but anyway, I thought to myself, what a day.
Okay. So then what happened is that one of the alternatives is that because I'm producing, I'm the one that has to be on a laptop or on a desktop computer. But as a guest, we can come on Be Live using Be Live with an app on our phone. And so Connie, we started talking about the app on her phone. She goes, "But I already have that." It's like, yay! So all we had to do really is do a little dry run to make sure that Connie could connect with her phone. And so right now, that's how we're doing this. And actually, Connie, there's many of our guests appear by phone. Not many of them use their laptops. So yeah, I'm just so
Oh, that's
happy that you're
perfect.
here. I'm just so happy you're here. So we were saying that we're gonna, leave so much room for spirit to be able to guide us through this because this is the first time Connie and I have ever done anything like this together. Um, I don't want to call it impromptu, but it was like I really wanted everybody that usually comes to the afternoon live stream to be able to experience you and what you offer through your show. And so this is a nice way to be able to share that out. So what this morning you had a topic that Spirit wanted you to bring forward today, right?
Yeah.
Could you tell us a little bit about that? What was that they want you to talk about?
They wanted me to talk about two distinct things: our inner kingdom and joy,
Okay.
and how they work together. And I think that when people think of the kingdom or your inner, your temple within, however you refer to your inner self, and it belongs to nobody else. It's just yours. It's yours and yours alone, and it's yours to manage. And so, and some of the things that I think it's important for folks to realize that we decide whether or not our where it's going to go, whether it is our God self or if it's our ego. And that's really hard. People have a hard time making that distinction between the God self or your spiritual self and our ego. Because our egos, if you really figure that out, the ego loves the material things, things that people just, it's the jealousy, it's the fear factor. It's all these things. And really, what's happening today in this world, and that was the one word that when it hit me was fear. And I thought, I really need to talk about fear factor
Mm-hmm.
today.
Mm-hmm.
Whether if it doesn't get out today, it'll get out next month because it'll still be here next month. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because that's an important aspect that people realize that they don't have to buy into that fear.
That's right.
That they don't have to. They can just, and you've heard me use this phrase, when somebody throws a negative at me, I do a spin on it. I just spin it right back around and throw it back as the positive with love in it.
Yeah.
And then they're sitting there like, what? What happened? What just happened? It is fun. So, so I don't get upset.
They felt the shift. One of the things that we've talked about quite a bit in this last, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks or so, the cards that have been coming up have a lot to do with the use of our gifts and our expression of our soul through our gifts, right?
Yes,
and,
that's correct.
And we talk a lot about how when we heal our emotional and mental traumas, that we clear away the interference and the debris that interrupt our gifts, right? The application of them. And fear certainly does do that.
Yes,
fear does that, and especially when it's part of that emotional or mental trauma. So when you're talking about how fear and what your spirit guides wanted you to bring forward, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I think that certainly is right along the same stream that we have been talking about for the last 3 weeks.
Well, when we talk about and you have to make that distinction of that that it's your ego. When you're talking about fear and greed and jealousy and power and the material things in life, that is the ego. And when we're trying to just, take and say, okay, I want to be in my divine self, my consciousness, you have to just kind of slide that stuff and say, okay, now, how can I? And we all need things materially, and we all need to have some power in our lives. I don't like to use the word greed. I don't like to think about that, but I don't like the word fear either. But I try to control that someone is not imposing their fear on me, or any jealousy, and because nobody has anything I need, because I have everything I need. Everything I am so full of an abundance that it just seems like it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and I keep telling myself, isn't this a wonderful thing? Because I don't have any self-doubts anymore. And when you can, or fear, and when you can relate that and go back to, I use a lot of my work, and some of you have heard me talk about the Archangel Uriel and what an awesome relationship I have with him. And the fact is that he is always pushing me and bringing me into the divine trust of our Creator, however anybody wants to look at that. And my presence is always in the light, in the way of helping somebody else. I really, in the challenges that are out there, there's so many, and that we face, and we have to put them in some kind of order, and say, how are we going to take care of them, and how are we going to put things? Who's going to be on the throne, so to speak? And so, and so we just have to slide them and do it slowly. Don't try to do any of this stuff fast, because you got to take a little at a time. And if it takes you a little longer to do one than the other, it's okay. It's yours. Everything that we do is for us, for our own individual. It's not my responsibility to clean up somebody else's temple within or their kingdom. It's not my job. My job is to clean up mine. Then I can share with you folks what I did, and how, and the success that we may have had. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. And I think that people realize that they're not alone, that everybody's going through the same thing, but we have to know that we have to love ourselves and forgive ourselves. Those two things are the most two important. If anybody doesn't get out of here today, the most important thing for me is that they have to know that they have to love themselves and forgive themselves daily.
Yeah.
And know that those are the two factors that are so important. And then when you start to see, because when you love yourself, you don't need to be outside looking for somebody else, because that love will come to you. It's just that you have to love yourself, and you have to, that will take care of that fear factor.
Mm-hmm.
When you have all that love that you're generating in that, then
Right.
that helps, it helps take the fear away. And
Yes.
then to some degree, one don't take it all away, but you know what I mean? And so each item that you have that you're working on, and we all need things. We need to eat, we need to buy clothes, we need to have a car, we need a home, we need all these things to live. But it doesn't mean that you have to be in excess. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Moderation.
You have to learn to do things in moderation. So, but anyway, that's that in a kind of in a nutshell.
Well, ouch, George. Um, when we're talking about the inner kingdom and the forgiveness, right, and loving yourself, um, I know that when we make those statements about loving ourselves, there's some who feel a little self-conscious about that, and because it goes against some of the things that we were taught, those belief systems that we were
Yeah.
taught, right? And sometimes it's even hard to really fully accept that we are divine children of God, divine children, right?
Right. It
We're
is
a
hard.
divine child, and to be able to fully accept that. Um, I don't know. I was just going to ask the people in the chat, if they actually feel that they are a divine child,
Oh, that'd be
because
great.
I think that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about. Um,
Because
you
I
know,
am a firm believer, Neshi, of the I am presence, and you know that.
yes, I
I
do.
am. I am. God says I am. Well, we are a spark, or we are from the stars. We're a speck of Him. So
Yes.
and He made us in our image. Jesus told us that.
Hmm.
So you know what I'm saying. So eh, so we are part of Him. So we are.
Hmm.
We are. And
Yes.
that's hard for folks. That was hard for me to comprehend and swallow
Hmm.
when that first hit me. And
Yeah.
when I did, I cried.
Hmm.
I really had an emotional, like, holy smokes, I'm falling apart here.
Yeah.
And then I had to pull it all together. So, so people don't be, if you have a day and you have to cry about it, it's okay.
Yes.
It's a slow process. You can't, it's, it's like when you have a baby. When you're a baby, what do we feed you? Rice, baby rice, and cannellum. You don't get the meaty chunks.
Not right
You
away.
can't, not
No.
right away. Can't have that.
No.
See, so everything has to be done in moderation.
Uh-huh. Stephanie
And
says, absolutely. I feel and know that I am a part of all that is. That's great.
isn't that wonderful?
That
That's
is
wonderful.
wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. I do know from personal experience that when we face some of those fears head on, and it does take courage, and we're not alone to do it. That when it's almost like a domino effect, when you can get to the root of whatever that is, and you only have to do one sometimes for it to be
Hmm.
that domino effect. Some of the smaller ones will get taken care of too. But it is the facing of the fears. It is facing ourselves and being honest with ourselves about things. Um, and when we do that, I call it, we're only responsible and can only clean up our own side of the street. We
That's
can't,
right.
we can't do it for someone else. Um, and the life lessons and all the gifts that come along with it um, are there. It's just having the courage to be able to turn around and face it. Um, a lot of times, our mental mind kind of makes it disproportional. It stretches it out of proportion. how really serious it is, because our mental minds can, man, it can make up good stories, can it?
Yes, it can.
George, I wish he'd go to sleep. But he's just so much energy. He hasn't had a chance to expend much of it. Um, so, what is the best way that you found to be able to deal with the fears?
Uh, what I have found, Neshi, is that when I have a fearful thing, I meditate.
Hmm.
I do. I'll meditate on the situation
Hmm.
and I'll ask my counsel to be with me, to walk me through whatever I need. And if I have to walk through it, and let's say it's something I don't want to walk through, but they'll say to me, but it's a lesson, Connie, you have to learn it. So, okay, then let's walk through it as gracefully and as lovingly as we can. So that's how I work it.
Uh-huh.
And that works for me. And I accept the fact that it's something that I have to learn.
Hmm.
And then I bless it and I move on with it.
Yeah.
And I send love to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the only way that's how I do it. I don't know how else to do it any other way.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I do, I call in my spiritual team and I talk to asking for assistance to help me see this with more clarity. Show
Yeah,
me what's really going on here, and what part of it is my responsibility. And sometimes, you have to do things that you really aren't comfortable doing, because a lot of times when we're in those kinds of situations and facing it, um, I think a lot of times we're facing ourselves and maybe
yep,
the shadow part of ourselves, and having the guidance to be able to do that in a loving way, because it'd be so easy for us not to be loving to ourselves. You know.
yep,
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's really really asking my spiritual team for assistance and connecting with my higher self and asking for to be shown. You know.
yep,
Um, and I know that there's a life lesson in there. Whenever there's a life lesson, I know that there's a gift at the end of the
yep,
at the end of the
yep.
experience. It's getting to the end of the experience. It's the that journey. And what did they say? And I'm sure you've heard this, Connie, is that the uh, the journey is more important than the destination, right?
That is true.
Yeah, yeah.
Very true.
Hmm. Well, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit here. First of all, we got a couple of comments in the chat. Roberta says, or Bobby says, have always felt a part of something bigger, something bigger. Yeah, yeah. And Julie says, working on it, hard to overcome the childhood beliefs. I know, I know.
And that's the truth.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about that? Childhood beliefs, or the beliefs that we are taught as children. What
Well,
would you
yeah,
say about
I
that?
can tell you, like, I didn't put it together when I was young, but my grandmother always used to say to me, uh, Connie, cast ye bread upon the waters, and it shall return. And I would say, what does that mean? And she would explain it to me and say, well, whatever you do or whatever you say, if you hurt somebody, that's going to all come back to you.
Mm,
Oh, well, okay. And then as I grew older, my mother said to me, unto thine own self be true.
oh, that's a good one.
And I thought to myself, because it wasn't until I think we were in our teens that my folks decided to join a church.
Mm-hmm.
And then we joined the Lutheran church. So that was my base. And
Yeah.
so, but when you stop and think about the training that I received as a young child, and my mother knew that I had a gift and that I was special, and so she was always watching over me and explaining things to me uh, in a very delicate way. so that I wouldn't panic. You know what I'm saying? And she would say, now you don't say this because she would explain it to me. And so I think that when you're young, eh, it's I went with the flow, so to speak, because I already had imaginary friends, and I already was speaking to spirit and, having this conversation when I was 4 and 5 years old. So, and so then, and really it was when I was in my 30s that I really had to stop the bus and just say I need to find out what's going on here because I could spirit was just talking to me 24/7 and I needed to get some clarification. So that's how I ended up going to the spiritualist church. Somebody directed me there. And so then I was able to talk to people who could help me figure out what I was doing and how it all worked. But it was, I mean, it took me a long time. And when we're young, I think that we kind of go with when whatever mom says or dad said, we just kind of, okay, this is what we do. But then as we started to get our own sense of how far we wanted to go with it, the different things, then I think it just is a matter of where we go in the time frame.
Yeah.
So,
Oh my
so I
goodness.
don't know, how does that work for you?
Well, you said something in there that kind of took me, a little bit out. I didn't know that you had an imaginary friend.
Yes, her name was Sarah. Sarah.
So many people that I know have had that. The spirit, their friend in spirit, right?
Yeah. Because
And
I
I
would be talking, Neshi, her and I'd be having this conversation, and my mother would say, "Well, Connie, who are you talking to?" And then of course my father caught me one day, and then he went to my mother and said, "Well, how long has Connie been doing this?" You know, mother says a long time.
long time. Hmm. Yeah, that's those childhood beliefs. Yeah, there's being Native American. There's actually quite a few that are fear based, and I didn't realize that until after I was well into my adulthood. Um, for instance, the owl, right? That when you see an owl, it's a bad omen. When you hear an owl, it's a bad omen. That the owl is bringing messages about death, and that somebody that is going to die, basically, right? And so when you grow up with that, is like, and then having my birth totem is an owl. So it's like, so trying to balance all that out, and what supports me, and it took me a long time. So I kind of identify with what Julie Hill was saying about working through it. It does take some time. You can't do it all at once. You
No,
just
you can't.
can't. You
No,
take one at a time, and sometimes it's even part of one. It's not even the whole thing, it's parts of it, to find out if it supports you or not. Yeah, but it's also the destination. We get to know ourselves really, really well when we do
hmm
that, don't we? Yeah. And so how does that help you when you're channeling, when you're doing channeling work? How does that work for you? I mean, did you have to, and you said you were always doing this, right?
Yeah.
Always talking to spirit. When did you, because I know that you said you picked it back up. When did you take that break?
Oh, I took a 30-year or 29-year break.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I was still, I mean, they never left me. They still talked to me.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was still hearing them. I was still, responding. And, but, I was not a practicing spiritualist or anything like that. But then I ended up joining the Catholic Church in 2003. But and that was a journey. I didn't understand that journey either, but I do know why today I had to go through all that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just a joy for me to be able to say I I have walked the walk, so to speak, and now I can share all those events and things with folks to make maybe somebody's walked the same walk and just never, nobody ever said, well, I did that.
Yeah.
Now she is, and look what she's doing. We all have the capability, and it's hugging yourself and saying, hey, I'm okay and I do this.
Right.
I can do it no matter what.
Right. Because we came in the vibration of love, no matter what our situation was at
That's
birth,
right.
that we came in as spirit and that we were dearly loved and we still are dearly
Yep.
loved. That never changed. What changed was how we perceive it, right?
Yep. It's
And
true.
Stephanie is saying it can take years to untangle childhood beliefs. In some
Yes,
cases,
it can.
it certainly can. It certainly can. But
Yeah.
I think that's also part of our soul's contract too, because when we take a look at those aspects, eventually it leads you to healing, whether
It,
it's healing through your chakras or therapy or whatever it um, is that when we take that conscious effort, that decision, that intent to heal, yes, we're doing it for ourselves. Yes. But it affects our ancestors and it affects our descendants. And so it's a lot bigger than that. That ripple effect is a lot bigger than what we think. Yeah,
it's true.
that's true. That's true. So when you were talking to your guides about your show, and they
Hmm.
wanted you to talk about the inner kingdom, right? And the fear. What was the one thing that you knew that was going to be an important piece to cover in that?
I think the joy,
The joy. Let's
the
talk about
joy.
joy then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the joy I think comes when know who you are in your God self. And right now this is the holy season that we're coming up on with the Christmas and
Mhm.
I love the song Joy to the World, Joy to the world. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, the lights come and it's just like, oh, okay. So those are and those are it's such an uplifting song. And when we think about joy, what does it say to us? What does it say? It's the light. It
Mhm.
brings us love. It brings us happiness. It brings us, and you know what's important
Mhm.
too, and this was brought out this morning too, is laughter.
Yes.
We have to be able to laugh. And
That's true.
sometimes it's okay to laugh at yourself and say, "Oh my goodness, was I that? Did I do that?" So and that helps raise your vibration.
Yes.
When you laugh, I mean that, and I think about sometimes when I have a laughter, I just tears will run down my cheeks, and I'll think, how did I had that all penned up inside of me or something? But it's oh, I think about things like the birds. Okay, the birds sing,
Mm-hmm.
and the ripple of a creek, the ruffling of the water,
Mm-hmm.
um, of the brook, so to speak, and the trees whisper.
Yes.
And we have to listen for those things. And he wants us to listen to those things because we need to get back in touch with our Mother Earth. We do. She needs us. She
Yes.
really does right at this time. And we must respond. It's our responsibility to respond to the vibration of life. Just think of it like that. Think of a person that has a violin, and you see them pull it up, and you put that bow on, and they just strum it, beautiful sound comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or a person picks up a guitar or piano. The key, once those key hit the fingers, hit the keys, and it's all this beautiful vibration. Music is such an instrumental part of our growth, and it's a response to the quickening within us, to
Hmm.
that inner spirit. And it's like when you take the drum and you get the beat of the drum.
Hmm.
Oh, I have to quick tell you this, because when in my channeling that we did on the night before Thanksgiving, part of that came when I gave this young lady, her Indian guide was Little Feather, and
Hmm.
also there was the beat of the drum,
Oh,
and it
really?
was just so awesome. And it was
Wow.
just like I could hear the beat, and I just, so my hand went to the beat, and
Mhm.
uh, and I said to her, I said, "Wow, what that is just, it is so cool when we respond to uh, the joy that life has for us." And so whether you are unfolding when you unfold your consciousness and it kind of rolls out, and maybe it's going a little too fast for you, well, you can slow it down. You have the ability to do that.
Mhm.
And what, again, it's our response to the quickening of what our mind and our hearts together.
Oh, okay. That's important. That
Yeah.
is an important piece. When our hearts and our minds are together,
Yeah.
when we have balance between the head and the heart,
Yep.
that's important.
There's a lot of things going on there.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we do that, we're actually in our high heart. It's between your heart chakra. It's at the very top of it, between your throat and your heart chakra. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's that pink color.
There you
Whereas
go.
the heart chakra is green, that emerald green, right?
Yep.
The high heart's a pink chakra color, and it is about the balance. It is about the balance between the two. I think that when we allow our soul to lead, that we sense or feel joy more often, and sometimes for longer periods of time, right?
Very true.
Yeah, yeah. I remember this was years ago. One of our dogs, her name was Sugar. Um, we had her for 14 years, and the year that she walked on, it was really really hard on me because she and I spent a lot of time together, and so it actually put me in therapy. Her passing, but I remember I was working for the state of Wisconsin, and a friend of mine and I went to lunch, and it was really crowded. Um, and the only seats that we could find were at the counter, right? And so we sat and we ordered our food, and she was asking me how I was doing, how I was feeling. I said, I'm doing okay. I'm not great, but I'm doing okay. And it was like just a moment, just a moment. I had to stop. I thought, what is that? When I turned my attention to it, it's like, oh my gosh, that's joy. How can I be feeling a moment of joy when I am so sad, you know? And so that night I had to check in with my spiritual team and ask them about that. How can that be? And they were telling me that they wanted me to not to see it, but to feel it, to feel the joy, that the joy is always there.
Yep.
Even in the worst of times, you still have the joy within you.
Yep.
And all we have to do is turn our attention to it, you know. And even that made me cry. Is like, okay, so I'm never really as deep into the sadness as I thought, because my mental mind, you know, had it
Yep.
pretty stretched out of proportion. Yeah, but I just wanted to that reminded me of that experience when you were talking about the joy and the balance between the head and the heart. Um, yeah, so we can have those moments. We can have those moments. And we can have them for longer than a moment when we've done our healing work.
That's correct.
Yeah, yeah. Huh. So, do you have anything else about joy that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I would like to just share. Last night I watched Polly Joe,
Hmm.
and I don't get to see her all the time. I watch replays more than I do get on the live. But last night I had the time, and she pulled a card after we had gone off the air, and it came in, and I wrote it down because I thought, well, this has got something to do with what I'm going to be talking about. I know it is. So anyway, it was innocence, the card of innocence, purity, and joy.
Yeah.
And then she wrote, you are being encouraged to be you. Be shining light for the world. Expect positive outcomes to flow from your honest and pure intentions. Be the light so that others may shine brightly. I thought that was so beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And it's so you.
Well, I just thought, well, and I thought that was so, I just thought,
Oh, hey, we lost her. She'll be back. She'll be back. Here she is. She's coming back in.
so much to do. And I thought, when I saw that, I thought, I need to write that down and hold it and just resonate on it. And because I thought it was just the word, when I saw the word joy, I thought, oh, there it is. There it is. And I have to say that I feel very good about life itself. And I'm full. And one person said to me, you should be careful how much people think you're just too happy. You're just too much full of joy. That's too much. And I think, I can't help it. It is what it is. So I leave it with
There's
that.
never too much. That's,
So, can you hear me, Neshi?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me? I don't think she can hear me. You can't hear me.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Okay. Try refreshing your screen. I don't, she's not going to hear me. Rats. I know. I'll send her a messenger message. She can read that. All right. So hang on 1 minute. We're going to send her a quick message. I'm going to ask her to, yep, see, she's going to do it anyway. She's really actually pretty good at this. She went out because she's on her phone. She's going to go out and then she's going to click the link again and then she'll come back in. And I'm just going to send her a quick message. There we go. Let's see. She's back. She's back.
Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, good. I was just Verizon, right? I was just telling our audience, I said, Connie is really, really good at this. What she's going to do is she's going to go, because I was going to send you a message to go out and come back in, right? And you did it anyway. And I said, so she's a lot, you know what you're doing. So I'm glad, because you did blip out for a minute with the call drop. And then when it came back, you couldn't hear me. So, but it's
right. So I thought, okay, I'll go back in.
And here, Mary Summers, she says, refresh. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, refresh.
All right. So, Connie, I don't know if you know that I'm using this deck of cards. And let's see.
Yes.
Yep. The Angels and Ancestors by Kyle Gray. And today's primary card is this one. It is the Guardian of Magick.
Okay.
Yeah. And it says, unlock the magic within. Okay. Unlock the magic within. And basically, that's what we're talking about.
It is.
It is. It is exactly what we're talking about. The message is, stop looking outside yourself and recognize that you have incredible power within.
That is the truth.
It is very
true. It is absolutely, because I was thinking when you brought that card up, I thought, that's going to tell them it is within. Everything that we have is within us. We just have to search for it and look for it.
Right.
But it's there.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And the power that's within. And you're right. Um, and many times it's a memory. Our soul already knows. It's our conscious mind, or the physicalness of us has to remember, right?
Hmm.
And it's the recall. But our soul already knows. And so when we've done our healing work, when we take those moments to be in the silence and in the quiet, so that we can hear our soul's voice, right?
Yeah.
And when we do that, we do have more joy in our lives. We do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Stephanie she says, had to get going to speech. Her son had a speech um, appointment. And so she'll be back and listening to the archives. Thanks, Stephanie, for letting us know that. I appreciate it. Here's Roberta. She goes, LOL. My own card draw today is the Magic Guardian. Shifting to a broader consciousness after being even more awakened in the past few years, paying attention to guides that love to show the ways to use gifts even more. Ripple effect of being unbound by ego and led by the inner child is such a lighthearted joy. So true, Bobby. So true.
Yes. I love it when she says the child within,
Yes.
because that's what I do is I just pull the little Connie out and I hold her and I hug her and I kiss her and I tell her how much I love her and I'm so proud of her and that life is good and we're good together and and God loves her and hey, we're good. And
Right.
that's really, if people could just grab that. And I know it's a thing. Somebody said, well, that's just playing with your mind, but it is a mind thing. It's a mind and heart.
Yeah.
It goes back to the mind and heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes we have to give ourselves an attitude adjustment, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Because who else is going to do it if we don't do it? I'd rather do it myself than my mom's still around. She can still do that too. I'd rather do it myself. I'm a lot harder on myself than my mom is. So, with that attitude adjustment, sometimes what it is for me anyway, is like, that's not a very positive thought. Delete that thought and replace it with something more positive. And that's kind of like what you said, is that you turn it around, you spin it, you pivot it into
Right.
a negative, into a positive. To me, that's kind of like that attitude adjustment. And
Yep.
the author goes on to say, he says that you are the magic, you are the answer. You have it all within you. If you've been searching for an answer, for a reason to focus, recognize that all that you are looking for is already within you. You are a powerful and magical person with the capacity to direct your intentions and will your desires into being. But your power can only be powerful when you own it.
Yeah.
It can only be powerful when you own it. So take time to acknowledge it. Your ability to dedicate yourself to a goal and make it happen is a real gift, and that you are being guided to recognize now. So basically, that's exactly what we've been talking about for the last half hour,
That's
is
right.
that we have it within us already, and that we are the gift.
We are the gift.
We are the
Yeah.
gift. That when we have the opportunity to shine our light, to shine our soul, to
Hmm.
do to have our soul lead, that's when people say, you're all aglow, you're just glowing. It's like, thank you. I thank you, but it's because I'm doing my soul work, and
Yep.
to be able to express my gifts in that way. Um, and I find it joyful. I do. I
Yeah.
don't find this Star Nation stuff work. It's fun.
Oh, I don't. No, no. And that's the fun thing about even the show. One person said to me one day, "Oh, don't you get stressed out over that?" I said, "Oh no, I look forward to it because the spirit, it's all spirit driven." So I said it's exciting to see
Yeah.
what they have to say. And when they wake me up at 2 minutes to 5, my alarm isn't set yet, so I'm thinking 2 minutes to 5, and they wake me up, and I'm thinking, "What's up?" So,
And I love it. I love the synchronicities, and we've had this card before. We've had this card before. magic card,
Yep.
guardian magic. Um, and you never know how it's going to, the essence of it is going to be applied. And, and for today, look what it brought. Look what it brought.
Yep.
Kind All right. So I have a question for you, Connie. Now that I have a chance, we actually can have a discussion and a chat about this. There's something that when you do your channeling work and spirit is coming through you, right? I know that there's some people. I'm looking at who's in the live chat. Um, is that how do you? I'm trying to find a good way to express this question. How do you know when you're channeling?
Well, it's what happens, and in this, and I have to kind of go back to when I first started to channel, because I did it many, many years ago, but then it's only been in the past year in March when we started to sit and, waiting for it to, materialize. And I'm thinking, okay, is this ever going to come? What's going to happen? And what happens is you get yourself so quiet that your mind says, okay, and you shift. You kind of just slide over, and then they come in, and it's just it's an inner thing. You kind of know, your body knows. And I don't sometimes know exactly what to say, because I'm trying, my brain is trying to cipher it out, and then they'll say, no, just say it just the way it is. Don't try to interpret it, just say it the way it is. And that's how I started, and now it just flows. I just once, like Wednesday night, um, the energy was so strong, and I heard the Alleluia, 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 and that I was singing that in my head, and then it started coming out of my mouth, and then all of a sudden, whoom! Then the person who was doing the talking came right on through,
Mm-hmm.
and just started going right, giving everybody, doing this thing. And I can't always remember everything that's being said. uh, Bits and pieces I can,
Mm-hmm.
but not everything. But because when it's coming from a higher level, they don't want you to get involved in it. I'm just the vehicle, I'm the instrument.
Okay.
And so I have learned to just kind of move myself out of the way and let them come in and say what needs to be said. And it's been quite a journey, I'll tell you. And I love it. I love it. Every time when somebody says, "Are we going to sit?" You bet we are. Because we're just channeling, getting all kinds of awesome stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just, and there are lessons that we know that we have to learn and walk through, and in order for us to grow, even go higher
Yeah.
in
Experience.
the
Ex-
experiences.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and I know that you've been asked this question before, but I'm sure that there's probably somebody in our audience who has the question in their mind: is how do you know that the being that's coming through you is of a high vibration and not a low vibration?
Well, first and foremost, Neshi, when we sit, we set we set the perimeters, and of course, we set the light. And one of the things that came out Wednesday night, and I was told this by one of the other people, is that when the entity came through, that's what I call it. He come through. He said, "This is a holy place." So we have worked very hard to get this home of mine, where I don't just let anybody park here, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I don't want anything negative in my house, because
Okay.
it's a holy place.
Mm-hmm.
And we all, and when we have conversations, we try to have conversations of positiveness.
Yeah.
um, we have different, we how many, let's see, we have three of us that meet on a regular basis, and then people come in on other times, that aren't, were the not the scheduled time. But the fact is, they know that every Friday between 11 and 1 a.m. or 1 p.m. in the afternoon, between 11 and 1, there's people sitting here waiting. And so we sit in the dark,
Mm-hmm.
and we record all of our sessions.
Mm-hmm.
So and now we need to, I mean, we've had so many sessions, and I'm saying we need to get that in paper. We need to get that recorded, and get it produced, because the information is so awesome, and it's so, and it's not ours. It's not ours to keep. We need to get it out there. So yeah, so those are the things that we're working on.
Yeah, because I know that people have, they have that question.
But you have to set the perimeters. I mean, we don't just sit down and say, okay, let's do this. We have been working very diligently, and even one of the other persons made the statement that they could feel the highest vibration they've ever felt in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so that tells us that we're working in the manner in which we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And if we get something that doesn't feel right, any one of us will call it out.
Uh-huh.
And if we always say, I mean, we always sing a hymn, or we do everything in the light of Christ, because of the Christ consciousness, raising ourselves up and wanting to be with the oneness. And so we've done a lot of work, and it just isn't something that you just go sit and say, oh, well, this is what, no, it takes a lot of work and a lot of dedication to the spirit world.
Right, exactly. And thank you for sharing that, because I think that when we're just kind of chatting about it and you say that, that we sat or we're going to sit, and I wanted people to know that you set the intention, you set the boundaries,
Absolutely.
and that you're working with the highest vibration beings possible.
That's correct.
Yeah. When I don't call it sitting, but in my meditation room, which there's many times when I try to say that word and it comes out medicine, so I just started calling it the medicine room. I don't have any windows in there, and so it's you can't see your hand in front of your face. It's darkness, and many times what I do is even if it's just for a few minutes, I set the intention that I'm going to sit in the quiet, in the silence. I smudge the room, I smudge myself, I
Yep.
balance chakras. I call in my spiritual team, those of the highest vibration, to come and
Yep.
be with me, and I'm prepared to listening to what they want me to know about. Yeah, and I had somebody who's always been on my team that I actually spent some time with, and when she spoke, it was when she said her name, it was like I didn't know what it was. I didn't know if what was is a phrase, or what is it that I'm supposed to be doing with this, or and then it's like you came in here to listen, so listen. This is what I'm saying. Okay. And it turns out that she is a being that helps me to express, especially when I'm teaching. And so I suppose, in a way you could say it's channeling, um, because I basically, like you said, the ego part of me steps aside.
That's right.
The ego
You have
part
to
of
take the ego out.
Yeah, yeah. But it's funny. I've never really called it that, channeling.
Oh, well, I never, and that's right. Sometimes because I don't even, I mean, I tell folks, my house, I'm talking to spirit I mean, I may be cooking and I'm out there, I'm just cooking and I'm talking because I hear things and I'll say, oh, what are you guys telling me? Can you repeat that? I missed it. Or if I'm trying out a new recipe and I'm really concentrating on the recipe, and then all of a sudden I'll hear this, and I'll say, okay, folks, give me a break here because I can't do this and that too at the same time. But
Right.
that's different than channeling.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
I get the best show topics or article topics when I'm doing dishes or ironing. Those divine inspirations while I'm doing the mundane.
And
Um,
one time, even well, I'm trying to think what it was a holiday, not this Thanksgiving, it was Easter.
yeah.
I was cooking for a friend of ours who's from China, and I was going to make a dish that with rice. And I'm better at it now than I was then. And so anyway, I cooked and I was fixing the rice, and all of a sudden I heard this woman say, "This is what you do." And I thought, "Oh, somebody's here telling me what to do." Okay, so and then I realized who it was. And I'd have to laugh because I thought, "Oh my goodness sakes." We just never know when spirit is going to be, how they come in and how they're going to help you when you
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
And it was just like when I don't know what time of year, I can't remember now, but it was in either the fall of last year. My father showed up,
Mm.
and I was sitting in the chair and I was reading, and and I thought my mother's I felt my mother, didn't see her, but I sensed her. And I heard her say something about, well, do you remember, she was reminding me of a conversation that was being said. And I said, why are you bringing that up? And she said, just a minute. And then I could hear my father say, I have someone I'm bringing in, Connie. And I thought, you have somebody you're bringing in? And I thought maybe he was bringing my brother.
Hmm.
Well, no, he was bringing our corporate attorney
Uh-huh.
from the business.
Uh-huh.
And he said, Kent, come on. He says, Connie can see and she can talk. We can communicate with her. and and here my dad's standing there and I could see him. He had black pants and a shirt on. And then I saw Kent Fana and I thought, oh, that can't be.
Mm.
So then because I didn't know that he had passed on.
Hmm.
So I got on the computer and I looked it up,
Yeah.
and he had died December of 16.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
that was in 17 that I think that all
Hmm.
materialized.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I thought,
Bobby has something to say in the chat. She says, "Lucky you, 5 a.m. I get up. I get wake up calls at 2 a.m. But I get such amazing channeling messages. Then love to hear you, Connie, say, just hear it. Downloads can be pretty intense, so let it flow like drinking water." Yeah,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Well, Connie, we're at the top of the hour. This has been so much fun to be here
it
with.
has been. And thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I just appreciate that you had to take the time this afternoon to be able to do this with us. I really felt compelled that we needed to do that topic that you wanted, that Spirit wanted you to do this morning, to be able to come through and chat about it this afternoon. So I appreciate.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. So,
Again,
do you have any last words for our audience before we say goodbye?
um, I think that what I would like to say is that it is your responsibility to respond to your indwelling spirit, the fulfillment for your divine fulfillment. It's a process that we go through. It's a light that the that other, it's our light, it's our path to follow. And no
Mhm.
matter how the journey is, just just love yourself, and just give yourself that big hug. I mean, you don't
Mhm.
have to go outside to get it. Just give you and your spirit workers will hug you.
Yeah.
When I tell people, I always have Michael, Uriel, Gabriel, and Raphael wrapped kind of around me before I ever walk out the door,
Mhm.
and Jesus and Mary. That's just part of me. And when I say I need a big hug today, man, whoo, it's powerful. And you can, they're there and they want to be asked. They want to be somebody to say, and if you need help, don't be afraid to ask
Hmm.
because they're just waiting and waiting and they want to be. I mean, you even if you don't know your workers' names yet, and I don't know all mine yet, but
Hmm.
I'm still working on it. But
Yeah.
my chief wears a full headdress
Oh.
when he guards my doors, and his name is White Cloud,
Mm-hmm.
Chief White Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll tell you, he takes good care of me when it comes time and when I have to channel. Let me
Uh-huh.
tell you, he takes very good care of things and makes sure that everything is orchestrated correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But just make sure that everybody understands that it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe next month I'll show you. I have a friend who made me some feathers. It's a healing feather.
Mm-hmm.
It's just beautiful.
Okay.
And it's in the other room. But I'll next month I'll bring that and show it to people
Oh,
so they
that'd
can
be nice.
see it
Yeah.
and we can talk about that.
Okay. That
But
sounds
I'll
great.
tell you what I hoped that I wish I could do is that in May when you are in Michigan
Yeah.
and you're going to be doing those drums.
Yeah.
That has been I've always wanted to do the drums,
Oh,
but
me
I'm
too.
not sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to
We'll put
wait
it
and
out there.
see.
We'll put it out there to our spiritual teams to help us pull that together for you. Yeah. That'd
There
be
we go.
that would be so nice to be actually be physically there together. That would be
Then that'd be nice.
oh, that would be more than nice. More than nice.
But
All
I
right.
know that it's going to be at Minnie's, so yeah.
Yeah, yep, it is. It will be. And so, hi, Miriam. Miriam just joined us. Unfortunately, Miriam, we're just wrapping up. You can always join us. I do a daily live stream, so you can always come back tomorrow and join us too. Um, Connie has a monthly show. It's called Spiritual Mysteries of Life on the last Thursday of every month at 10:30 Eastern Time, and so she will be with us next month, and she's going to bring her healing feather to show us and to share about that. So, you know what I usually say every day, you guys, is whatever resonated with you in our chat today is just to, to pick it up, embrace it, hold it, and see how the energy unfolds for you today and how it fits in um, with your life today, right? And if it did, yay, use it with your heart. If it didn't resonate with you, no worries, no worries at all. Just let it lie. It wasn't for you. Maybe you're a messenger and you get to share the recorded live stream with someone that you know. But with that, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Come back at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for the Mystery School with Carl and Orton Franklin. And I'm producing that show too, so I get to be there with them, just like today with Connie. And we're going actually, it's going to be very interesting because Carl is going to be sharing about the true blessing of Saint Nicholas, Saint Nick, right? And because he has a personal connection to St. Nicholas and to Santa Claus. And so helping us get prepared for the holy season that's just around the corner. So with that, Bama Mina, that means in Potawatomi, until we see each other again. Love you guys. See you later.